Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jamuna Tira Vanam Sari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Jaya Radha Madhava Daim Shupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Stotarasatya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Sirabai Charan Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandibhiti Founder Charya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Hari Nama Sankirtan Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jaini Thai Gaur Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada Ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Taksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Kṛṣṇa Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tirubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesa badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahad. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara
Shri Advaita Gadadhara
Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Hare Rama Hare Rama
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha
Om Surabhyaya Namaha
Mukham karoti vachalam pangom langayate girim Yat kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class, continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 10, text number 21. Yes, okay. Yes. Sa vai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano eka āsīd aviśeṣa ātmani agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano ya eka āsīd aviśeṣa ātmani agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano ya eka āsīd aviśeṣa ātmani agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano ya eka āsīd aviśeṣa ātmani agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu
savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano
Savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano
ya eka āsīd aviśeṣa ātmani
य एक आसीद विशेष आत्मनि
agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare
अग्रे गुणेभ्यो जगदात्मनीश्वरे
nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu
nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu
savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano
savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano
ya eka āsīd aviśeṣa ātmani
य एक आसीद विशेष आत्मनि
agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare
अग्रे गुणेभ्यो जगदात्मनीश्वरे
nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu
nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano य एक आसीद विशेष आत्मनि य एक आसीद विशेष आत्मनि अग्रे गुणेभ्यो जगदात्मनीश्वरे अग्रे गुणेभ्यो जगदात्मनीश्वरे nimīlitātmani supta-śaktiṣu nimīlitātmani supta-śaktiṣu savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano ya ek āsīd aviśeṣa ātmani ya ek āsīd viṣeṣa ātmani agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu
savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano
savai kilāyaṁ puruṣaḥ purātano
ya eka āsīd aviśeṣa ātmani
य एक आसीद विशेष आत्मनि
agre guṇebhyo jagad-ātmanīśvare
अग्रे गुणेभ्यो जगदात्मनीश्वरे
nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu
nimīlitātman niśi supta-śaktiṣu
Okay. Saha.
Saha
He Kṛṣṇa.
He Kṛṣṇa
Why?
Why
As I remember.
as I remember
Kila. Definitely.
definitely
I am
I am
this.
this
puruṣaḥ.
puruṣaḥ
Personality of Godhead.
personality of Godhead
purātana.
purātana
The original.
the original
Yaha.
Yah
Who?
who
Ekaha.
ekaha
Only one.
only one
Āsīd.
āsīd
Existed.
existed
aviśeṣa.
aviśeṣa
Materially unmanifested.
materially unmanifested
ātmani.
ātmani
Own self.
own self
agre.
agre
Before creation.
before creation
guṇebhyo.
guṇebhyo
Of the modes of nature.
of the modes of nature
jagad-ātmani.
jagad-ātmani
Unto the super soul.
unto the super soul
Īśvare.
Ishvare
Unto the supreme Lord.
unto the supreme Lord
nimīlita. Merged into.
merge into
ātman.
Atman
The living entity.
the living entity
niśi supta.
niśi supta
Inactive at night.
inactive at night
Shaktiṣu.
Shaktiṣu
Of the energy.
of the energy
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Sridham ki jai. They said, who is they?
the ladies in previous slok
The ladies in previous slok.
kuru
Where are the ladies in the previous slok?
in the top of rooftop
Yes. Why they're on the top of the roof?
because Kṛṣṇa is living and they are seeing Kṛṣṇa
Yes. Because
Out of affection, they want to see Kṛṣṇa.
yes. Yes. Okay. Translation. They said, the lady said, here he is. Here he is. the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge, as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended. Kind of repeat after me. They said, here he is.
Here he is.
The original personality of Godhead,
The original personality of Godhead.
as we definitely remember him.
As we definitely remember him.
He alone existed
He alone existed
before the manifested creation
before the manifested creations
of the modes of nature,
of the modes of nature,
and in him only,
and him only,
because he is the Supreme Lord,
because he is the Supreme Lord,
all living beings merge,
all living beings merge,
but not to become one. As if sleeping at night,
as sleeping at night,
their energy suspended.
their energy suspended.
Okay, yes. Purport. There are two types of dissolution of the material cosmos. This is important, actually. Yeah. Bhagavatam describes 4 types of annihilation. So 2 of them are being referred to here. So there are 2 types of dissolution of the manifested cosmos. At the end of every 4,320 million solar years, when Brahma, the Lord of one particular universe, goes to sleep. So that means at the end of one day of Lord Brahma, there is one annihilation. When Lord Brahma goes to sleep, everyone goes to sleep. Yeah. At the end of Lord Brahma's life, which takes place at the end of Brahma's 100 years of age, in our calculation, at the end of Hare Kṛṣṇa, 8,640 million years times 30 times 12 times 100 solar years. So how many years is that? Beyond, I think, yeah. There is complete annihilation of the entire universe. And in both the periods, both the material energy called the Mahatattva and the marginal energy called Jiva Tattva merge. This is the merging that is being referred to here. Merge in the person of the Supreme Lord. This will be explained a bit more here. The living beings remain asleep within the body of the Lord until there is another creation of the material world, and that is the way of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material manifestation. So we have, just by the mere description here, or simply by knowing, that we emerge twice. Until we become fully liberated, we emerge twice. Therefore, we have a tendency to sleep.
Yes.
Or we have an affinity to sleep because we've been unconscious. Yeah. And it will mention here more in detail. The material creation is affected by the interaction of the 3 modes of material nature set in action by the Lord, and therefore it is said here that the Lord existed before the modes of material nature were set in motion. Yes. In the Shruti mantra, it is said that only Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, existed before the creation, and there was no Brahma, Shiva, or other demigods. Vishnu means the Mahavishnu, the first of 3 Vishnus. who is lying on the causal ocean. Where's the causal ocean?
Karan Sagar.
Where is the causal ocean?
It is outside of the material world, our universe.
Where exactly? Haven't seen it for a long time. Causal ocean separates the material world from the spiritual world. What's another name?
Vraja River.
Yeah, Viraja.
Viraja River.
Viraja River. Yes. Yes, and no one can easily swim across the Viraja River.
Yes.
By the time you even reach the shore, you're totally exhausted. Yeah. Mahavishnu is lying on the causal ocean. By his breathing only, all the universes are generated in seeds and gradually develop into gigantic forms with innumerable planets within each and every universe. The seeds of the universes develop into gigantic forms in the way seeds of a banyan tree develop into numberless banyan trees. How big is a banyan seed? Small.
Yes.
Have you ever seen? Can hardly see it actually. Very, very small.
Very small.
Very, very tiny.
Tiny.
But from that tiny seed comes big tree. Yeah. So Prabhupada is giving that example here. So this Mahavishnu is the plenary portion of Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa, who is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita as follows. Let translation of Brahma Samhita 558. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the original personality of Godhead, Govinda, whose plenary portion is the Mahavishnu. All the Brahmas, the head of the universes, live only in the period of his exhaling. After the universes are generated from the pores of his transcendental body. So universes are coming out of his breathing and from the pores of his body. Thus, Govinda, or Lord Kṛṣṇa, is the cause of Mahavishnu alone. This is a special understanding in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, because most people believe that actually Vishnu is highest, and that from Vishnu, Krishna comes from Vishnu. So here we understand that Vishnu comes from Krishna, Mahavishnu, and other Vishnus. Thus, Govinda, or Lord Krishna, is the cause of Mahavishnu also. The ladies talking about this Vedic truth must have heard it from authoritative sources. What are the authoritative sources for ladies to hear such truth? There are primarily three authoritative sources. No. Not that they are not authoritative, but that's not in relation to. What are the general, we could say, daily? What are the daily authoritative sources from whom ladies are meant to hear Shastra?
Spiritual master has been
Ladies.
Yeah, we're talking about the ladies. It's the ladies here who are, Prabhupada is making the point. The ladies are talking this way. That means they must have heard it somewhere. So my question is, from where they heard it?
Maybe their husband. or brahmanas?
Maybe from his mother.
So when you say maybe, that means maybe you don't know, huh?
Or
It's a very important point actually to understand, which we forget in modern day society. The natural, who are the natural persons who are meant to give transcendental knowledge? There are three, not only three, but there are three on a regular daily basis, from whom in the Vedic culture that is an established, we could say, process or procedure, or it's part of the culture. The three authorities for ladies are the father, the husband, and the eldest son.
no mother.
Elder son.
Son.
Yes. The father, when the girl is at home and still a child, and when the girl grows up, she gets married, and the husband takes charge of the wife. Takes charge means not in a negative way. Means he becomes responsible to protect her and to help her advance actually in spiritual life. And then when the husband takes vanaprastha or sannyas,
And then his son.
then the eldest son. That is the ideal and the recommended. In addition, because there are many social, cultural, religious activities, so they also hear from brahmanas. Like when you go to a temple or when we travel to some holy place, primary purpose actually is to hear from sadhus. Yeah. And of course, sadhus, they hear from Shastra. And of course, part of sadhu is like, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra is there. So it means, see, this is a very important, extremely important point, because ladies are not meant to hear from anybody and everybody. That's the point, actually, which is happening in modern day society because of, what is it? Unrestricted mixing between male and female. Yeah. So we were reading that a few days ago, how there is planned, regulated segregation of male and female in the Vedic culture. Because in the Vedic culture, we recognize not only that there are two genders, primarily, but that there are differences between the genders, which we are artificially trying to remove in modern day society. Yeah. So, just to continue here, the purport. Yes. So I'll just begin again this sentence here. Thus, Govinda, or Lord Krishna, is the cause of the Mahavishnu. Also, the ladies talking about this Vedic truth must have heard it from authoritative sources. An authoritative source is the only means of knowing about transcendental subject matter, definitely. There is no alternative. So, of course, that's another important point. Yeah, we must hear from proper authorities. And the before last paragraph, the merging of the living beings into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahma's 100 years. But that does not mean that the individual living being loses his identity. That is the difference. We have, whenever we use the term or word merge, for us, it's a kind of like a little tricky word. It's a word that we have to be careful with, because Mayavadis have a different meaning or understanding of merging. The identity is there, and as soon as there is another creation by the supreme will of the Lord, all the sleeping, inactive, living beings are again let loose. We're all let loose to begin their activities in the continuation of past different spheres of life. Means when Lord Brahma sleeps at night, where do the living entities go? Because we just read how the living entities also
in body of Vishnu, like in Brahma, then they will come again when the creation will create.
in which Vishnu? At the end of the day of Lord Brahma, the jiva merges into the body of Garbhodakṣaya Vishnu. And at the end of the life of Lord Brahma, the living entities merge in the body of Mahavishnu or Kṛṣṇa Vishnu. Yes. Right. Okay, we're halfway through this paragraph. And that means that when we merge in the body of either Garbhodakṣaya Vishnu or Mahavishnu, Kṛṣṇa Vishnu, we carry with us, we exist in our subtle form, right? We exist in our subtle form, and therefore we carry our karmic bag. Yeah. So that's why it mentions here that when there is creation, we are let loose, and we start based on our previous karma. Yeah. So that's why we have been doing this for a long time, and that's why we should not be surprised that after 1 month or 2 months of chanting Hare Krishna, that we completely wake up.
Yes.
So we've been asleep for a long time, and we've been disconnected with our original identity, original activity of devotional service. So Prabhupada continues, it is called supta-śaktiṣu, or awakening from sleep and again engaging in one's respective continuous duty. It's like, for example, every day, that's another annihilation. Every day at night we sleep. It's like at the end of Brahma's day, we go to sleep. At the end of Brahma's life, we go to sleep. At the end of every day, we go to sleep. And that's the third way of becoming unconscious. And then the fourth one? What's the fourth one? When we leave this body.
Yes. At the time of death. At the time of death.
When we die. When we don't die, when this body dies. Yeah. So these are the 4 ways of, let's say, annihilation, temporary annihilation. But the soul is always there. And every time it's like a big experience, like traumatic experience for one who's not in knowledge. One who's in knowledge, one who's in full knowledge, he won't again come back. I mean, yeah, if one is successful in completely destroying or stopping or removing any kind of karmic reaction, then one, okay, Prabhupada is referring here. When a man is asleep at night, he forgets himself, what he is, what his duty is, and everything of his waking state. But as soon as he awakens from slumber, he remembers all that he has to do, and this engages himself again into prescribed duties. So as long as when we wake up in the morning, we remember to come to Mangalarti, we're doing okay. If we go to some other place, then it means we are in Maya. Yeah. The living beings also remain merged in the body of Mahavishnu during the period of annihilation, but as soon as there is another creation, they arise to take up their unfinished work. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, verses 18 to 20. Chapter 8, verse 18 to 20, which reads as follows.
Fine.
Whoever found it first can, bolo.
Avyaktād Vyaktavya.
Huh?
Translation only. Yes. At the beginning of
No,
Brahma's days.
read the Sanskrit. The Sanskrit.
Yes.
Bolo.
Avyaktād Vyaktavya. Sarva Prabhavya Raghav. Ratragya Pariyante. Travya Vakya Tame Sagyake. At the beginning of Brahma's day,
Loudly.
At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state. And thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again.
Okay. Next. 19.
Yes, 19. Bhutagramas evayam bhutva bhuta praliyate ratragame vasha partha prabhavatya haragame. Again and again, when Brahma's days arrives, all living entities come into being, and with arrival Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated.
Annihilated, yes, okay. And 20.
Parasmatu bhavenyo vyaktyo vyakta sanatana yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashe astu na venashyati. Yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to his manifested and an unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is.
That is referring to the spiritual realm. Yes. Okay, last short paragraph of the purport. The Lord existed before the creative energy was set in action. The Lord is not a product of the material energy. His body is completely spiritual, and there is no difference between his body and himself. Before creation, the Lord remained in his abode, which is absolute and one. Yes. So the translation again. They said, the ladies, here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended. Yeah. So that is, this is the beginning, the first of a series of prayers which we will be reading in the days to come. It goes on for about 10 verses actually, where the ladies in the palace very nicely glorify Lord Kṛṣṇa by remembering what they have heard from previous authorities. So that means everyone within the society is meant to hear these subject matters, especially in regards to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because that Supreme Personality of Godhead, as it is mentioned here, they are actually most of the time they only hear about him, but now they're getting to see him in person. Here he is, as mentioned in the beginning. Yes. So here they are specifically yeah, same point that Prabhupada is making at the end of the purport, that the Lord, he is Satchit Ananda. Sat means eternal. It means he existed before in so many places it is clearly establishing that the Lord existed before the creation, because he is the one who created. So he existed before the creation, before the material creation. That's why the Bhagavatam actually, there are two sections, two levels of creation. The primary creation, secondary creation, and the Lord is existing before any of this takes place. This is mentioned to explain that the Lord, therefore, he is the one who has created the modes of material nature. That he existed before these modes of material nature, therefore he is not subjected to the laws of the modes of material nature, as we are, as the living entity is. So that's why Kṛṣṇa explains, as we hear often referred to, that his birth and activities, janma karma samidibhyam, therefore are always transcendental. So like this, the ladies of the palace are talking amongst themselves, as we heard in the previous verses, because they are very simple in expressing their thoughts and their feelings, but because those those exchanges they are talking amongst themselves are very, we could say, very spontaneous and very pure. Therefore, although they are not, as we heard in the previous verses, they are not scholars, but their manner in expressing and glorifying the Lord is not only on the level of Vedic hymns, but even accepted or considered as even more superior, more meaningful, more attractive than simple, ordinary recitation of Shastra. Which means that actually not only we should be studying Shastra for the sake of learning Shastra or learning different slokas, but we should actually be making an effort to understand the actual meaning of the Shastra. One of the qualities, how many qualities of a Vaishnava? There are 26 qualities. Vaishnavas are described as having 26 specific qualities. And one of them is kavi. Kavi means? Yes, kavi. One who is very poetic, one who is very very good at either speaking or at writing, isn't it? And that quality we see very, very obvious in the person of Srila Prabhupada. How he wrote, how he explained, and how he spoke as well. Actually, one time one devotee was asking Srila Prabhupada, how is it that your books are so wonderfully written? How is it that when you give explanation, it is so wonderfully presented? What did Prabhupada answer?
Because I am Vaishnava.
Because?
I am Vaishnava.
Because I am?
Vaishnava.
Vaishnava. Actually, Prabhupada did not say that. Although we know he's Vaishnava. Very nice answer that Prabhupada gave. He said, because I have heard nicely, because I have heard attentively from my Guru Maharaj, therefore I am able to speak. As a matter of fact, this quality was pointed out by his spiritual master himself. When every year, one of the yearly activities that were introduced actually by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that we also follow in our Vaishnava Gaudiya Sampradaya, are parikramas. As a matter of fact, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur had directly requested or ordered his son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to begin in the context of Mayapur yearly what we now know as Gaur Mandala Bhumi Parikrama. And also they have in Vrindavan Parikrama. So Prabhupada went or participated in some of those parikramas. But so devotees, especially those who maybe have never been to India, to Vrindavan, they're very anxious to go and see so many different places. So sometimes Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would himself also go. Sometimes he would remain in the mat. So whenever Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not go on parikrama, Prabhupada did not go on parikrama. He preferred to stay at that place and to hear, because he would be giving some lecture. So actually that statement was shared. One day Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made that remark that he likes, Prabhupada would go with he was still a family man in family life, Grihastha Ashram. He would go with one of his sons, and then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would notice that, he likes to hear. He actually mentioned that. So in other words, if we want to be able to nicely speak the philosophy of Krishna consciousness or offer prayers, just like the ladies here are just spontaneously offering prayers, then the the way of doing this is to be attentive in hearing what is being spoken in the pages of the Bhagavatam, or what is spoken by other Vaishnavas. So that is Sravanam. Sravanam, hearing, is actually the foremost process or activity. From hearing, then Kirtanam. Yeah, Sravanam, Kirtanam, then Vishnu Smaranam. Like this, everything follows into place. So we can, well, actually, Prabhupada gives quite elaborate purport. So any, yeah, we won't go to the next one because it's quite long also. Any comment or question on this? Yes.
In the context of hearing, as we have so many speakers and we have so many choirs in ISKCON also, but nowadays all are giving so many nice classes, but whom to follow? Either
from whom to hear?
yeah,
Whom to follow?
yeah,
That is, in a general way, we hear from, as a general principle, we should hear from those who are, number one, those who are bona fide, and those who are, we could say, arousing interest within our hearts. We should hear from individuals who help us understand the basic subject matters of our Vaishnava philosophy. And therefore, I suppose when there are many such persons, it may become a problem. So you have to, regardless of, that's an individual decision on the part of each devotee. We should hear from devotees who are, I would say, especially in line or in keeping and in the mood of our founder Acharya. That's important, because whether it is within our ISKCON society or outside of our ISKCON society, there are many Vaishnavas outside of our ISKCON society. There are many very learned persons, both within our society and outside of our society. We should be selective, and this is one of the important guidelines. Our purpose is not simply to accumulate, let's say, knowledge. We should hear from sources that actually serve as impetus for us to increase and expand our devotional activities, isn't it? And we should hear from sources that are, again, in keeping with the main instructions. And it's not only a question of instructions, but what is more subtle, and often, because it is subtle, not so easily understood, what is in terms of the mood and mentality of our founder Acharya, in terms of ISKCON founder Acharya. Because, Vedic knowledge is unlimited. There are so many topics, and there are so many, especially nowadays, so many sources from whom one can be hearing. So we should hear from those devotees who will be helping us to further understand and deepen what is the mission of our Vaishnava Acharyas coming down in Guru Parampara, because there are different Guru Paramparas also. So one has to be, Prabhupada in the early days, for example, he would caution his disciples, just don't, because you're in Vrindavan, just don't go anywhere and everywhere to hear from this one or that one. Because a place like Vrindavan especially, I suppose any holy dham, but especially such or a holy dham as Vrindavan, which is very special. There are so many personalities, there are so many sadhus are there. There are so many Babajis, for example, who are there. And Prabhupada would caution our devotees, because Prabhupada and our previous acharyas, in particular Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, they had a particular, we could say, vision, a particular mood and mentality, which which is important to understand and also to follow. Otherwise, we can be easily, let's say, attracted or distracted to things which are not in line or in keeping with what they are teaching. Yeah. The very interesting aspect or point, which I believe has been stressed and underlined by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and within the Gaudiya Math itself, how, and this is where the contention sometimes comes, or the difference comes. Our line is primarily a Gosti Anandi line, as opposed to Bhajan Anandi. So you find these terms actually in the Nectar Devotion. That's why it's very important to read again and again the Nectar Devotion, which is like our primary source or primary scripture to understand actually what is called the science of Bhakti. Of course, the science of Bhakti is also presented in both the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, but the Nectar Devotion is especially. So in that Nectar Devotion, these two paths are explained, the path of Gosti Anandi and Bhajan Anandi. Gosti Anandi is especially in terms of wanting or giving the emphasis on presenting Krishna consciousness to others. Means preaching, isn't it? Not simply being introvert and simply concentrating on our bhajan. So Bhajan Anandi primarily is like more, generally more, we could say, reclusive, and will prefer to be at one place, may even take a vow to never leave that place, and is focused on his bhajan, isn't it? So, for a number of reasons, well, to a large extent actually because Lord Chaitanya gave that instruction also to Prithivite ache jato nagara adigram sarvatra prasar hoibe moranam. So prasad, there is these two aspects that also Lord Chaitanya spoke about, that we find in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about achar and prasad. Of course, both are important, both are necessary. And although we are putting primarily the emphasis on preaching, Gosi and Nandi, that does not mean we are forgetting or neglecting the aspect of bhajan, because there's both are necessary. And Prabhupada explains, for example, that if one has for many years performed preaching activities, then later in life one can retire and concentrate more on bhajan. But generally in our line, one just continues.
There is no retirement.
Yeah. Okay, we can close for now. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Jai Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Gauda Pimanandi.
Hari Bol.
Jai.
Jai.